Hello everyone, welcome back to another video of my opinions about classical music. If you're a new viewer, welcome, and if you're an old viewer, welcome back. I'm super happy to have you back here either way. Today's video is going to be a little bit different in multiple ways from our usual content. First of all, have you noticed our new logo? Isn't it amazing? I made it myself, I'm a bit proud of it, but let me know what you think in the comments. And secondly, today's video is going to be reviewing the instruments from Animal Crossing New Horizons, which also is a bit new. We have not done any gaming content on this channel before. I think it will be interesting, but don't worry, we're not turning into a gaming channel. Would be cool though to turn into my opinions about video games, but I think we will stick to classical music for now. Today though, we are combining gaming and classical music, and we will be looking at 12 instruments from Animal Crossing New Horizons. To make it simple to follow along, I have made a scoring system. It has 3 categories, the first one being looks. How good does the instrument look? How realistic is it? The second one is playing style. How realistic does it look when our character plays it? And finally we have sound, maybe the most important part. Just like in the real world, an instrument can be as pretty as it wants, but if it sounds weird, then we wouldn't want it anyway. In the scoring system, the maximum amount of points you can get is 18 points, 6 points per category. And at the end of the video, I will reveal the ranking of all 12 instruments. So starting off, we have the clarinet. So starting in the looks category, I would say the clarinet looks pretty good. It has most of the keys you would see on a real-life clarinet, and if we look at the back of it, it actually has a thumb rest, which is quite impressive. And while you can't see it in this picture, the clarinet actually does have a reed, which is something many people get wrong when they try to make a clarinet like this. So I think we will be giving 5 points for looks. We are only taking 1 point away for the missing keys, but otherwise it's looking pretty good. Now when it comes to playing style, it's a bit, what can you say, interesting. It remains on the stand while you're playing it, which is quite unrealistic, I would say. The character is kind of holding their hands in a kind of right position, I guess, so some points for that, I suppose. But I'm sure you agree we can't go any higher than a 2 for this playing style. So, moving to sound, I have enlisted a world-class clarinetist to help me with this section. Put your hands together for Benjamin! Thank you, Benjamin, that was amazing. Now for scoring, I'm going to give it a 5. The sound, that is, not Benjamin's playing. We are not judging Benjamin's playing. I think the range of the clarinet is pretty well represented, and the only thing I really have to say is that the top register is lacking a bit, and that the tone quality isn't great. But overall, it's a solid 5. This leaves us with 12 points for the clarinet. Next on the list is the saxophone. And it is an alto saxophone we're looking at. It is labeled as such in the game, so that's how I will be judging it as well. And while it at the first glance looks pretty good, it's lacking quite a few keys, a lot more than the clarinet did. It does have a thumb rest and a reed, which is very good, but I think overall, especially because of the lack of detail and the keys that are missing, I have to give it a 3 for looks. Now when it comes to playing style, I feel like it's doing a bit better than the clarinet, just because it's actually in the right position to be played in, but obviously it's still on the stand, which I find quite unrealistic. And again, the character's hands are kind of in the right position, but still far away from where it's actually supposed to be, so in the category looks, I am giving it a 3. For the sound category, I have once again enlisted some help, so please put your hands together for the world-famous saxophonist, Benjamin. Thank you, Benjamin, that was great! Now for how the saxophone sounds in the game, I will say it's giving MIDI. Which is fine, I guess, for, you know, notation software and that kind of use when you're not really supposed to listen to the sound anyway. But I think that when Benjamin is putting so much soul into his playing, it should sound better than this. It's clear that it's supposed to be a saxophone, but that's pretty much it. So for the sound category, I am giving it a 2. Moving to the next instrument, we have the trumpet. And while I'm no trumpet expert, I think this looks really good. It has all the pistons, and I think it has all the tubings, it looks like it to me. I also honestly love the detail of the mouthpiece being a different color than the rest of the instrument, because I see this quite a lot. So I think I'm going to give out the first 6 to the looks of the trumpet. Now, moving to playing style, we have quite a similar problem as we had with the clarinet. The instrument stays on the stand, which is very unrealistic. And honestly, I think it's worse with the trumpet, because in the real world the clarinet is kind of held downwards, while the trumpet is pretty much 90 degrees from your body. So unfortunately, we are going from a 6 in the looks category to a 1 in the playing style category. Unfortunately, the star player who was supposed to showcase the trumpet for you was unavailable, so instead you will hear me perform a short little piece for the trumpet. Enjoy! So even though I am no star player, you can tell that it sounds pretty good. The attacks are maybe a little bit rough, but I think it's pretty high up there, so I think I will be giving this sound a 5. So moving to the next instrument, we will be having the upright piano. And honestly, I think this is the best looking instrument we've had so far. It is a bit difficult to tell if it has all the keys that it's supposed to have, but at least it has 2 black keys followed by 3 black keys across the whole keyboard, and I think that's pretty good. It also has 3 pedals, which I think is really good, and while I had to purchase the piano stool separately, I think that looks really good as well. So I think we once again are looking at a 6 for looks. Now for playing style, I think we're starting out really good. We are sitting kind of right, and the hands of the character is in approximately the right position, even more so than on the clarinet or the saxophone. But there is one glaringly obvious problem though, and that is the fact that the pedals are all the way down there, while the character's feet are all the way up there. Now, we could attribute this to the character being short, but I don't know of any characters in Animal Crossing that would reach down to the pedals. Maybe one of the ostriches like Gladys or Blanche, but I still think we're going to take 1 point off for that. And that leaves us with 5 points in the playing style category for the upright piano. To demonstrate the sound of the upright piano, I unfortunately could not get the superstar player to perform, so I had to play it myself, so please enjoy a short little piece for the upright piano. Now, the first thing I noticed is that it's only possible to play 1 key at a time, which unfortunately is not a me problem, but a them problem. And I might be ignorant here, but isn't it the point of the piano to be able to play multiple notes at the same time? So we're definitely taking some points off for that, but otherwise I think the piano sounds really good. It sounds pretty much like a real live piano. So the piano gets 5 points for sound, making the total 16 points. And now that we've reviewed the upright piano, of course we have to review the grand piano. I think the grand piano has all of the good characteristics that the upright piano does. It has the pedals and the keys are pretty much right. And since you can't really move the lid in the game, I think it's fine that it's open. The one minor detail I will point out about the grand piano though is the fact that it has no brakes. So I'm a bit worried it might roll off at any minute. So total score for the looks of the grand piano is a 5. Now, to save a little bit of time, all the stuff I said about the upright piano, about how you can reach the keys but you can't reach the pedals and all that kind of stuff, also applies to the grand piano, so it gets the same score of 5. And in a moment we will be listening to me performing a short piece on the grand piano, but I want you to listen out for something. I want you to hear, can you actually hear a difference between the grand piano and the upright piano in the game? One would expect the grand piano to have a slightly bigger sound, so keep an ear out for that. To me, this sounds exactly like the upright piano, which is a huge drawback to the grand piano. Why would you pay more than 200,000 bells extra for the grand piano when you could have the upright piano, which sounds the exact same? So, for my opinion, save your bells, buy the upright piano. This gets a 2. The next instrument is referred to in the game as the wedding pipe organ, and you can only get this from Cyrus during the wedding season event. When it comes to looks, I think this instrument looks amazing, it's so beautiful, but I feel like a pipe organ would be bigger than this. I am not trying to claim to be a pipe organ expert, but if you are a pipe organ expert, please let me know in the comments below. Are there any small pipe organs like this in real life? For now though, I'll be giving it a 4 for looks. Moving on to playing style, I feel like we have quite a lot of the same positives and negatives as the pianos did. I do feel like it's a bigger problem with the organ that you cannot reach the pedals though, because you actually use them to actually play notes when playing the organ. So because of that, the score on playing style will also be a 4. Now I will be demonstrating the sound of the organ with a short organ piece. This too also feels very meaty to me. I mean, all the instruments are quite meaty, but this is even more so. Not as much as the saxophone, I think, but still quite meaty. And also, we can't really play multiple notes at the same time, which I feel like is kind of the point with the keyboard instruments. It's not awful, it's not great, so I think we will be landing on a 3 for sound, which takes the total up to 11. Next up on the list is the violin, which at the first glance looks really good, but then there's the obvious missing thing, that is the bow. And also, all the strings looks to be the same thickness, which is a bit weird. I'm very happy that there are 4 strings and, you know, the rest of the violin looks really great, but I think overall in the looks section we have to give it a 4. Now, moving to playing style, I think there's hardly anything positive to say about playing style. The violin stays on the stand, just like all the other instruments, which is fine I guess, but then where is the bow again? Like, we need that to make the violin sound. And also we're not even trying to hold it almost correctly, so I think actually this is a 1 for playing style. Thankfully though, I have been able to get a world-class violinist to perform a short little piece for you to demonstrate the sound of the violin in Animal Crossing, so give it up for Benjamin! Now, if we ignore his interesting playing style, I think the sound is decent. It's still quite MIDI-like, but not too bad, I think. And I guess it's quite realistic that he's not using any vibrato. And also, the way he's playing is not at all connected with how it sounds, because he's playing like he would be playing pizzicato, and this is very clearly not pizzicato. So for that reason, I am going to give this a 2. The sound is fine, I guess, but it's not great, and all of this stuff is just adding onto it. So yeah, the total of this would be a 7. Next up, another stringed instrument, we have the cello. And once again, where is the bow? How are we going to play this without the bow? I also think I have never seen a stand like this for a cello, but maybe that's just me who's not been around cellos enough. Let me know if you play the cello. Is a stand like this really common? But overall I think it looks pretty much like a cello, and because of that it's going to have the same score as the violin, which was a 4 for looks. For playing style, I kind of feel like this is better than the violin, just because it's actually in the kind of right position to be played. It's still weird that it's still on the stand when you're playing, but I can kind of look past that, so I will be giving it a 3, I think, for playing style. And for the sound category, you are very lucky. We have a world famous cellist with us to perform a short little piece for you. Give a warm applause to Benjamin. To me, this sounds like they just pitched down the violin sound, which I guess is kind of what the cello is, but yeah, it's not great, I think, but it's not bad. It's not as bad as the saxophone is. It's quite similar in quality as the violin, so I think we will be giving the same score as the violin, so it's a 2, and that takes the score up to a 9. Now we're moving into the percussion section, because the last 4 instruments are all percussion instruments. Starting out we have the timpani, and at first glance I am really impressed by them. I can see there are tuning pedals, which is quite impressive, and I am making note of the fact that they are only 2, which is more common in smaller ensembles or in amateur ensembles, while in a professional orchestra it's very common to have 4. But I will not be deducting any points for that, because it's fine to have just 2. I cannot see any mallets, but I think that a percussionist would normally bring the mallets to the timpani, so that's fine, I guess, but because I know that the characters are not bringing any mallets to the timpani, I am going to deduct some points for that, so the total score for the looks of the timpani is going to be a 5. Now, when it comes to playing style, I'm not really impressed by this. It's very much like you're just touching the side of the barrels, which is really weird. And also, where are your mallets? Where are they? They are the ones you need to make sound on the timpani. Or you can make sound without them, but you know what I mean. The positive is, of course, that you're standing in the right place when you're playing, which is nice, but it's not enough to really pull the score up high. So we will be capping it at a 2 for playing style. Now I will be playing a bit of timpani for you, but make note of how many different tones I'm playing, because something doesn't add up with the combination of how many tones there are and how many drums there are. From what I can tell, there are 3 pitches, but there are only 2 drums, and I don't see my character touching the tuning pedals, so something is a bit iffy here. Apart from that though, I think the sound is quite realistic, and I am going to give it a high score because of that, but it's a bit sus that it's got more tones than drums. So, sound-wise, the timpani land on a 5, which take the score up to a 12. Which is pretty good. But let's move on. The next up is marimba. My first thought is that the marimba looks really good, but then I looked a bit closer and noticed the tubing underneath the staves here. We have 1 row of tubing where the largest one is on the left and the smallest on the right, and 1 row of tuning where this is the exact opposite. And I'm no marimba expert, but I have done some quick googling, and to me it seems like the longest tube will match the longest stave, which will match the lowest note. And I guess that the first row of tubing will match the first row of staves, and the second row of tubing will match the second row of staves. So for me, it kind of looks like it's one row going from high to low and the other going from low to high. It looks like the staves are correct though, so it's just the tubing underneath. But once again, I'm calling on the marimba experts to correct me if I'm wrong. I do like the mallets though, and because overall it looks good, I think I will be giving it a 5. When it comes to playing style, we have a lot of the same issues as on the timpani. We are standing in the correct place, but we're not using the provided mallets, which is a bit weird to me. And also we're hitting the side of the staves, so that's also a bit weird. Overall, the playing style is not the worst, but it's not the best, so I think I'll be giving it a 3. So for the sound category, let's listen to Benjamin, the world-renowned marimba player. Thank you, Benjamin. I think this sounds great. I think it sounds pretty much like a real-life marimba would. We have the same issue that the pianos did, that they're only playing one note at a time, but I feel like that's less of a problem with the marimba than it was with the piano or the organ. And I feel like we're making pretty good use of the whole range of the marimba. So I think actually we have the first 6 for sound. So, only 2 instruments left, and second to last is the gong. And, well, I'm just going to say it. Isn't this a tam-tam? And again, I'm not trying to claim to be an expert on gongs or tam-tams or anything like that, but this definitely looks like a tam-tam to me. So, looks-wise, I guess it could be a gong, but it definitely could also be a tam-tam. So I think we will kind of judge it as if it was a tam-tam for now, because I think it looks more like a tam-tam. And also there are some more evidence to point towards this being a tam-tam that I will reveal to you later. But if we count this as a tam-tam, it's looking very good, I think. I do like the cute stand, and it's got a pretty cool mallet. So looks-wise, I want to give it a 6. Which I think would apply even if it would turn out to be a gong. Now for playing style, I'm not super impressed with how it's looking. It looks more like I'm pushing it and making it sway back and forth, but it's also making a sound, which is weird. I think it's cool that it's actually swaying back and forth though, that's a plus, but we're not using the mallet or anything, so we're taking some points off for that. So overall, for playing style, we're landing on a 3. Now, here comes the main proof I have for this being a tam-tam and not a gong. In Western symphonic orchestra literature, we would refer to an instrument like this as a tam-tam because it does not make a pitch when it's played. It doesn't have a clear pitch, at least, it's more of a noise than a pitch. Let me play it for you and you'll see what I mean. I can't hear a pitch there at least. But of course this could be intended to be a traditional instrument rather than a symphonic instrument, and in that case it could be classified as a gong after all. But in a symphonic setting, the sound that it makes is very much a tam-tam sound. And of course we can't get the full impression through the game because we're not physically present with the instrument, but I think this sound is pretty solid. So for sound, I will be giving it a 6, and that takes the score up to 15 points. And now finally we're at the last instrument, and the last instrument is the snare drum. And I think the snare drum looks pretty good, but there's one major component that is missing that I cannot see on the snare drum. and that would be the snares. The snares are wires on the underside of the drum that are stretched across to make the buzzing sound you can recognize the snare from. And the reason I'm saying I can't find the snares is because I can't find the lever that is used to put the snares on or off. And I've never seen a snare drum that doesn't have the lever, but maybe it exists. Percussionists, please advise. But I'm going to give some minus points for that. So overall, while I think it's a good looking drum, I think it's only going to reach a 5. When it comes to playing style, I have a similar problem as with the timpani and the marimba, and that is simply where are the mallets, or the sticks in this case. I guess the character is holding their arms a bit more like playing on the snare drum than on the timpani or the marimba, but you're not getting a lot of points for that. So for playing style, you're getting a 4. And of course, for the final instrument, I have gotten you a wonderful percussionist who will be performing a piece on the snare drum for us, so give a warm applause to Benjamin! Thank you, Benjamin, for all your wonderful performances today. Please show him some love in the comments. But when it comes to the sound of the snare drum, I think it sounds pretty good, but it's lacking a bit of depth. You hear a lot of snares, which is very good, but you can't really hear the hit on the drum really well. So for the final sound score, we're only giving out a 5. And with that, we have all the scores available. Let me read them to you. In first place, we have the upright piano with 16 points. In second place, we have the gong with 2 points. Third place is shared between the marimba and the snare drum with 14 points. Fourth place is shared between the clarinet, the trumpet, the grand piano and the timpani, and they got 12 points. In fifth place, we have the organ with 11 points. Sixth place goes to the cello with 9 points. Second to last, in seventh place, we have the saxophone with 8 points. And that of course leaves only the violin in 8th and last place with 7 points. What do you think about the results? Let me know in the comments down below, and also thank you, Benjamin, for all your wonderful performances. And of course, the biggest thank you to you for watching this video. A gold star for you, as always. If you want me to make another video like this, please let me know in the comments below. Animal Crossing has many more instruments that I have not reviewed yet, so if you're interested, let me know. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to, no pressure though, and I hope I'll see you here next time.